Okay. Yeah, so welcome everybody to the Captain's Lounge. Today we have two friendly guests, Roberto and Alex from the OceanDAO team. And yeah, it's a very special meeting today because we are starting to transition from funding from the ecosystem fund towards OceanDAO grants, which is a very interesting step for us. And that's also one of the major topics we want to talk about. But anyways, yeah, I sent around the agenda. I don't know if anybody has some other topics to add to that. Does anybody have other topics? So far, I mean, I can just repeat the agenda. So we have attendance and distribution of the budget, OceanDAO proposal, and collaboration with the OceanDAO and the OPF, and then other topics. I think, do you have something, Laurent, to add to that?
Yes. So just before we started the recording, so we were discussing about the transition now to a proper decentralized organization throughout Ocean, including the ambassador group. And perhaps we benefit from the presence of Alex and Roberto, we could actually have an open discussion on what we think could be the collaboration going forward. I know there were a few exchanges in some chat rooms on the tools that could be used, the objectives that we want to set, the kind of way of collaboration we want to foresee, at least for the transition period, and perhaps also the vision going forward. I mean, if it's too early and not the right place, so be it. But if we have the opportunity, I think it's a good opportunity to take, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I mean, this is point number 5 already on the agenda, but yeah, so we will come to that. I mean, the main topic, I want to share my screen now, and the main topic will now be the distribution of the budget. So we have our sheet here, and yeah, the question is now about the payouts for April. So basically, yeah, these are the things that have been finished, so we have to check those. And I mean, here the quarterly ambassador keynote has been now became the half year. So like we will have one keynote for the first half year. This will take place in June. So the payout will move over here. Then what about the check-in for the member credentials, Frederic?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one because we had very little new members in the last month. 400 is possibly a little too much, I think.
Okay, so 200 or?
Yeah, sounds reasonable. So the real deal is to establish a process here, but I don't have the time right now to do it. It's a lot of work, but a process to automatically sign the pledge and the documents and to automate the onboarding would be a task we need somebody for. Yeah.
Yeah, then I would move the 400 again to the next month, and then we can see whether you can find somebody or yeah, you can do the process yourself. Then right. Yeah, administration in Telegram, yes, I'm still supporting there. Today there was like the big spike downwards, and a lot of our some of our community members have been liquidated in the $0 staking, and that's they needed some support today. For example, things are moving forward there. I had a call about how to administrate the bot. We recorded the video there, and I think that's very helpful for the new team of community administrators. Then about the Discord administration, how was it in this month, Frederic?
Yeah, nothing special. So, but the tokens will be redistributed to the other contributors, right?
Yeah. So I mean, here we always have the owner, and if somebody else is collaborating with you here on the task, then the tokens will be split up to the contributors according to your own goodwill, however you discuss it and however you agree.
All right, so I will contact the other moderators here and do like special agreements with them.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Okay.
So the Sailors Lounge, 2 episodes have been created. So I think that's according to the agreement.
Just one, perhaps one comment on this budget sheet. As we know, we have to transition to the new system. I think that April is the kind of endpoint of the direct ecosystem funding, and May. So all of these new things, I believe, that we write there are going to be part of the DAO proposal.
Yes, that's true.
I just want to make this clear, because otherwise it feels like we keep on doing just the exact same thing. But in fact, as of now, we will submit this proposal early June, but some of the activities are starting today, basically.
Yeah. So I can mark this maybe like, I don't know.
Green is lovely.
So this is where basically it ends. So yeah. And then, okay. So yeah, I mean, we then, from my point of view, we will also later can later use this here to this sheet probably. Maybe we'll delete some old months, but we can start this then to also give an overview what we have planned. And then it will be easier. And yeah, I'm not sure if we still want to list all of the points, in our proposal, but yeah, we will come to this point later. So then the next topic would be the web page creation. So is this finished now by Noé? How do you see that, Laurent?
Yes, I would think that this is kind of done. It's live. It's still. I think it still needs the website, right? We only have the IP there, and not really like all the rest. So the actual DNS and stuff. So in my opinion, it's kind of complete. The key question here is going to be how this is managed going forward, and what process, and how to deal with new ambassadors quitting, and so on, because it's a lot of small but constant updates that have to be put. So in my opinion, Noé's work here is done. Now the server and everything, I think you are ultimately doing this, Robin, is that correct?
Yeah,
You're paying for it?
I'm paying for the server right now, yes. I mean, I have already ongoing expenses with the provider, DigitalOcean, for my own project, and then it's like we have the lowest tier of the servers there. It's like $5 a month. So I thought, yeah, I'm kind of a consistent member. So if I pay for that, then if I would transition out of this position here, then yeah, at this point I would then hand it over to the replacement. So I think that this is okay for me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think this can be cleared, I think.
And then should we then make a new topic for the extension of the website?
Ongoing management of this, because creating new tools is always, I mean, we have a tendency to do this, but then not necessarily have always the structures in terms of people and processes to support these tools ongoing. So this tool is super helpful, in my opinion, to have the full overview of the ambassadors in the group for everyone out there. But it does take some maintenance, so to say.
I will put 200 tokens. Is this okay?
Yeah, maybe 100 per. Like if it's a monthly budget, it is maintenance. It's not so big, but.
Yeah, I mean there could still be some extensions then done, or some additions, but okay, let's keep it at 100, and then we can see if we have to pick up somebody here. So it's now with a question mark. If you find somebody, probably we could put in Noé, right? I mean he probably would continue.
Yes. Last we discussed, so he was anticipating to do this work. He was saying this is fine for him. Mm-hmm. And yes, we there were also some parallel discussions, but that are linked also to the ambassador branding as a spin-off of the Ocean branding. And so there is efforts in that regard. And then later we could have a dedicated website, not just a team page, but a landing page explaining, okay, what the ambassadors do, what's our role in the ecosystem, etc., and getting people to join us, sending them to the academy to sign the pledge, and all of that could be actually centralized there on that website.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yes.
One quick remark, or rather question here: isn't this maybe something that we could have on the Ocean Academy, like a dedicated page that takes also care of the ambassador program, instead of having a separate page that we need to maintain?
I would go against this, because again, this is not driving the clarity that we need. This is a different group. So here, this is really promoting Ocean Protocol, not promoting Ocean Academy. So of course, Ocean Academy is a big driver for Ocean Protocol, but in terms of communication, of message, of how we can brand ourselves, this makes a huge difference. So I'm firmly opposed to this for quite some time. So I do think, especially if now we have a website hosted to present the ambassadors, that it makes a lot of sense to have all the process also to join the ambassadors there on that page, and decrease the confusion between programs.
Yeah, I see your point from a communication standpoint. Makes sense.
Okay, then we have the branding. You added this already. I think that's fine. And this elevator pitch, but I mean, did this happen?
Actually, I was checking this before coming, but I don't know. Actually, I don't. As far as I know, not. But it could have been done, and I wasn't just not aware.
Okay, I will put the question mark here. Yeah. And then this translation. I mean, these happened, right?
Yes, the 3 translations happened, and that's really quite nice. So we have the very first translation of Ocean Protocol communication into Bulgarian, which is super cool. There has been an Italian translation, which was revised literally as we speak. It was modified today, and there was a French translation also done over the last few days. So this is really perhaps an area where ambassadors can play a role, like localization and getting communities organized around language to form. So this is yeah, I'm personally excited, but yeah, of course, these are just articles, but they start spreading the words beyond just English. So it's quite cool. So the 3 were done, yes. And okay. I think we should plan more ongoing. I think it makes sense, because also to onboard new ambassadors, you need activities that are not too big, right? So you need to get a crack at it. So people, when you onboard a new employee or something, you have to give them easy tasks, or tasks that are quick, to generate the quick wins, to build confidence, to generate the engagement. And I think these small tasks are effective there. And I think we should ongoing think about having some of these tasks, because they do drive engagement, and also they have an outreach impact that is perhaps higher than a lot of other things that we do. So time will tell about that.
So I will add 50 tokens again for next month, so that they can repeat their work, or how should we handle this?
Yeah, I think so.
I already translated one of them already. I saw it today again, another one translated, I think.
So. Oh, so that was the second one. My bad.
Yeah.
I didn't read it, although I can read French, obviously. But so I don't know if we have to do this actually now, the planning for May onward, because I think we could discuss this together as we talk about the scope of the DAO proposal, and perhaps commit not necessarily to some specifics, but to say, okay, this will allow us to do X number of translations and localizations, something like that. So I don't know if we want to put this here in this sheet, or if we want to take the point and add this to our DAO proposal. Not sure.
I mean, that's like then we kind of dip into the next point on the agenda, which is then how you want to structure the proposals. So my idea for what would be that we can maintain the same structure that we had before. Where basically we meet in the captain's lounge, we fill out our budget sheet, and then we can also link the budget sheet inside the proposal, so that people can really look into all the things that we want to do, and then it becomes transparent if we want to make a grant proposal month by month, what we are going to do, what has happened, what hasn't happened, where we need funds, where we don't need funds. So I mean, this would give a lot of transparency, you know, like, because here we have been used to doing it this way, and if we would continue this way, then yeah, it would be rather easy to make a proposal. You know, you just say, okay, these are the things that we are planning for the next month. We have them here in our budget sheet, so people can also check. Here is what was really fulfilled last month, because then it was paid out. But then there's the payments tab, and then you could do this month by month, and then just every time really transparently show what you want to do, what has been done, what the new ideas are, and people can investigate that if they want. And that would be a very transparent way, you know, like it would be really until the last token, everything would be transparent. So yeah, that was my idea how to do it.
Transparency, I believe, is really key, and I'm fully supportive of this. It's just that the monthly cycle puts quite a bit of overhead on ambassadors' work, because it's not just the budget, it's the ROI, it's the explanation, it's the or we use like a recurring kind of template, and we say, okay, the ROI is high, and we say it's 10 out of the blue. But so fundamentally, I'm not sure we would want to commit to monthly full-fledged proposals. So yeah, I anticipated, in fact, quarterly myself, but we open to discussion, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the monthly thing would be easy if we continue like how we did it, you know. But if we want to have then a larger budget, this would then also I mean, this will limit us a little bit, because we need can maximum get 18,000 tokens, and then, you know, like the 18,000 would have to be enough for a quarter of a year. And if we would scale somehow, then yeah, okay. But we could also then ask for more, but it will not become really this transparent, you know, like what we are doing. If it's a monthly update, you know, then people also know what happens every month. And then the ROI could be like more calculated, and what was the impact, you know, like what was really what we did really this month, and how much we spent for that. And then this could be like an ever updating ROI, you know, like you have the past impacts and the past expenditures, and then you can basically always update it. You know, that would be like always updating one ROI. So I think that's also, from my feeling, it's something that the OceanDAO team is looking for. You know, that you have always updating things that really describe the current situation. You know, like I know that the most of the ROIs are like, one day in the future we will have all of this, and then, you know, it will be so great, and then the ROI will be so high. But at the moment, yeah, well, we can't really say what came out of the investment, you know. And I think that I can see Roberto smiling, and from my point of view, that is the thing that he wants to change. Because seeing the immediate impact, I think that is something that differentiates the projects from each other, you know. Am I right with my intuition, Roberto?
Yeah, very much so. We want to, you know, have the ability to teams to update and report where they're at in terms of their ROI tracking, and making sure that, again, very similar to what you know, Ocean Pearl has been talking about. But the reason why it's so core to the DAO is because we need to make sure that these investments are doing well, at least at a base core point of view. So Ocean Pearl doing probably a lot more services than our core offering. But very much so, we want to make sure that, you know, we need to track your ROI and continue to support you guys to figure out how to signal all the work and value that you guys are adding as part of ambassadors and as part of a proposal and the investment, similar to everything else. And whether that is, you know, add a different metric for you guys, or figure out how help you guys formulate that ROI communication. But yeah, you're very much in alignment with regards to where we're trying to take things.
Yeah, okay. Mention did not fail me. Okay. So that's what I got from the communication at the end of the last round. So okay. But yeah, I mean, that would be now, we're dipping now in the next topic. So if we want to close the budgeting quickly, then we can discuss this further. Is this okay? Yeah. Okay, then yeah, maybe we can go through this quickly. I would just put the numbers like for what we expect to pay out. So Laurent, the chief meme officer, this is going to continue probably. Then I'm not sure about this trend. Then the next thing would be the sharing of the TechShip news. I think that
yes, Noelle reached out to us, and she's aware once we launch, she will support us with tweets and an article.
So we will put this. We will pay this out now, or should we postpone this?
I think can be paid out, yes, because she already interviewed us, and we created a dedicated plan.
And then this community, the local community support, I think this has happened, and I think that this will continue. And the management, I think that this is the case as well. I'm not sure about the influencer part, Laurent. Did this happen? Has there been a report about that?
Yeah, this is tricky because there has been work, and I know Noelle and Ginny have approached quite a few people. So far, however, I must admit I'm not clear exactly on what was possible to get in terms of influencers support or contacts. So yeah, so if you judge by the work, I think the work has happened. If you judge by the outcome, I think at this point the outcome is not yet available, if at all.
So then we would have to, then 500 tokens would be too much, or how do you see this?
Quite frankly, I'm not sure I would really want to comment or modify this figure without first having the full perspective.
But do we want to continue with that in the future? Is it ongoing?
Yeah. So that's a discussion we need to have internally, and where I'm not sure we are all behind this. I think there would be several different options in terms of communication and outreach that we could drive. Influencers is one of them. So far, perhaps this experience and the work invested will get us to conclude that maybe this is too much of a time investment or hassle to get them. But on the other hand, if some influencers get in touch, then we are able to absolutely channel it like the same team, Noelle and Ginny, have done when it came to Ocean Academy. So yeah, it's a bit early to say. I mean, yeah.
Okay, then I would just put a question mark here, and I mean the 500, I'm not sure now. Maybe we should put a question mark here also, so that we don't know how much to pay out. Or, I mean, if the 500 was promised, the work was done. I mean, in the end, you can't change, not necessarily change your. You could change your mind about how much you pay according to the results. I can also put a question mark in here.
I would put 500 and confirm with Noelle. And like she's going to be fair for sure. So if she doesn't think that it's 500, that the work and what was committed was not done, then she will adjust for sure.
All right. Okay. So then here we will have the ongoing support for the website, and these two things.
Yeah, the ongoing support is something that we are doing. So this was also fulfilled by Frederic, Matthias, and me.
Okay.
But the dedicated business plan was not created yet. So this is something that we will do next month.
So, I mean, then the question, of course, starts if we put it in the OceanDAO proposal that we are requesting funds for Ocean Pearl. Now that Ocean Pearl is also requesting funds, this, of course, offers an attack vector on our proposal here. I'm not sure how.
Yeah, Ocean Pearl is not proposing anything for next month for round 6 because we still need time to finish before we create a new proposal.
Okay. So
but maybe so the goal of the Ocean Tech Ship was actually to make Ocean Pearl independent, and we worked quite a lot on this. We are still looking for someone for project management, but we also managed to get a new developer who will help with back end and front end. So the team is almost complete. If we get an additional project manager, then we can drop off completely as Ocean Tech Ship. So right now the idea is that Matthias from the Ocean Tech Ship will actually stay as a project manager there, and they will use their funds to pay him. And we can, as Ocean Tech Ship, focus on the next project.
So then this would be the last support from the investor program that you still are getting rewarded for creating the business plan.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Yeah, from my point of view, this sounds fine. And then we have one more point is the Tech Ship podcast. So we were estimating this with 800 tokens. So this will be done by Albert and me, because I mean we will look asking for other people in the community who or in the ambassador program who whether they wanted to join it. Unfortunately, we did not find anybody else. I mean it's going to be a much more compact format than the Sailors Lounge. So we'll have a strict timeline, and basically the idea is to invite different groups. So like projects that are actually got grants, who have some technical achievement that they want to like to share. This then basically will be 5 minutes of introducing them, then 50 minutes for the presentation there, then 10 minutes for discussing the impact of the solution, and then in the end question and answers. The other option would be, other than teams with proposal grants, would be then the OPF that wants to present a feature, or somebody that comes up with an interesting topic that wants to show this and highlight this in this podcast. Would be a bi-weekly podcast, and yeah, so that's the idea for that. And I think I think the podcasts really have some impact, and especially showcasing then also the different projects in such a podcast. You know, having them on camera talking about the project, I think that would be valuable as well.
Yeah. And the main difference to the Sailors Lounge is that we focus on tech topics.
Yep.
And also have we try to translate this into everyday English, but of course, yeah, we will also dive deep into some tech aspects.
Exactly. Okay, yeah, I would include this in the proposal, and then we have the usual things. Except now we basically dipping into the next topic. This is for the first proposal, because I think that this will take a lot of time, more time than the follow-up proposals. You know, you have to kind of create the template. So I reserved like 1,000 tokens, and I think like basically everyone here that is listed, these 5 people here, they will be involved. So they like the split will probably be 200 tokens each. I don't think that this is too here I would take the details. So it's not too much from my point of view, but if we really can streamline a template nicely, then the follow-up costs will be much lower. So then hopefully it's just like updating, you know, what happened, and then keeping the rest basically the same. And then of course linking in all the achievements, you know, like so yeah. One thing that here we did, like this is a grandfathered task, so that's why the rewards are so high here. So we have this already since, I don't know, let me see, since July 2001. It was done in June 2020. So this was a different time regarding the token prices. So that's why it has been grandfathered, and this is the last grandfather task. So yeah, we have this in this month still. And yeah, in this article already, we found out, and that's maybe we can conclude the budgeting here. What we found out, Frederic and I, while we were researching it, it's a question that also Roberto asked us, was like, how many grants went to the Ocean ambassadors, and we found out 22 grants went to the ambassadors. I mean, that's a really interesting stat. So there's a lot of interesting facts in this article, and we want to publish this. Yeah, but Laurent, you raised your hand.
No, it's just regarding budget overall before we close. So we can keep discussing this review, or or just close the loop on budget as you.
I would close the loop if there's no addition.
So I just pinged Noelle quickly on Telegram, and so she said that the work has been done. So there will be one guy that joining as influencer or promoting Ocean Protocol a little bit, and that the work was done. So I think at this point we should keep this, and also she's saying that this is just the beginning, and that's typically work that is a longer term kind of ROI, or more difficult to measure kind of ROI, because it takes a lot of time to land those influencers and a lot of contacts and calls to get them to engage. So I think it'd be fair to keep that budget. And
should we keep the same budget for the following month?
Yes, perhaps even increase it. So let's see. Let's discuss with the proposal.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then I just will write the 500 into the column. Okay. Then we can jump into the proposal discussion. I mean, we are kind of already out of time, but is there anybody who has to jump off sharply at past? Or could we just go for a little bit longer?
We can go.
I gotta get going, but I think you guys should, if you guys have something critical that I can help out with,
about the ROI. Maybe then we can use the last 4 minutes to interview about the ROI. So I mean, the idea would be always to report on what has been achieved last month and what are we planning in the next month. Basically, this will give us the numbers, how much it has costed and how much it will cost in the next month. If we would go with the budget sheet and the tracking in this direction, question would just be like, how do we measure the impact? We can do something like we could ask the people who are doing the groups, how often did you interact, or how much time did you spend? I'm not sure that these kind of social interactions are really a good measure, but I mean, we could ask them to count how many questions did you answer, and then they would have to write them somewhere and collect this. I mean, this could be then that they are tracking this, and for the Twitter and for the influencers, we could also count all of these interactions. That would be one way to quantify this. And I mean, the same is true with a lot of other things here that we have. So I mean, for the Sailors Lounge and the tech and for the podcasts, we could give numbers about the impressions on YouTube, for example, in our channel where we host this. For like the keynotes, we could also count the number of users. And I mean, we could also then, if we work on Discord and Telegram, we could also there count the number of users. I mean, if the users like it, they come. I don't know. That this would be something that would be quantifiable. And do you like this idea, or do you have some other idea how to like track all of this?
Yeah, so I think there are a few things in there that are really good. So as you mentioned, having a number of users, perhaps in the Discord, or maybe how many people that are ambassadors are increasing their Twitter account. These are interesting things to track. Some of them I think are more towards vanity metrics. So it'd be very interesting to identify what are some good fundamental metrics that would be really great. So an example is that if, both Jim, I don't know if the podcast would be a combination of that, but, finding a sponsor, right? And
Cynthia is already sponsoring, so.
Fantastic. Maybe we can continue to increase that, or maybe we can connect with a crypto or other blockchain companies so that we have both community projects as well as, professional companies collaborating on that. And just thinking more at the level of whether it's increasing funds or conversions of proposals. Something we've been talking internally is, perhaps the idea of referrals. So if somebody submits a proposal for a project and that has a referral to somebody from the community, we can track that. So that would be a really great way for us to identify the number of proposals that are coming in and where they're coming from. So, if ambassadors are doing a lot of outreach and they're bringing in more proposals and more people to the community, having a way to track against that really fundamental metric, which is increasing the number of overall proposals and the number of teams we're funding. So just a couple of ideas of how to turn, a vanity metric into more of a fundamental metric. I'm not 100% sure what that answer looks like at the moment, I think another aspect is to talk to the community. So, Robin, similar to yourself, just similar to yourself, what do other people in the DAO feel are good metrics to observe with the ambassadors program? I'm not going to have all the answers, but I think it would be very great for you guys to engage with a lot of the other voters, so you are continuously building your reputation with them, and continuing to get that support, which I think will be very important in the future. So.
Okay. I mean, you can iterate. We can start with something, and then we could also change it.
Always.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, thank you. Then, we reached the half point, and then maybe you want to jump off, Roberto. So, yeah, take care. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great time.
Thanks, Roberto.
Thanks. Bye.
Take care, guys. And ping me on Discord if you guys have any questions or anything. Just please don't hesitate. And looking forward to getting back to you guys on the discussion we had earlier. So, cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Okay. The question is, should I think we should continue on how to do the proposal. And I mean, from the next point would be about the collaboration with the Ocean Protocol Foundation. Are you comfortable with doing this, Alex? I mean, that we talk about this with you. I mean, there were the topics about Trello and so on. I'm not sure. Like, is this something that Roberto is owning in your team? How do you see that?
So
otherwise, we could postpone, like to the next meeting or something.
So with regard to the DAO product, so to speak, or like the DAO, dashboard, and as events happen in the DAO, so someone gets funding or they hit a milestone, like eventually the DAO product will start submitting events. So like, oh, X project received funding. And so, these output events could be things that hit the ambassador Trello. It's like, okay, hey, this event happened, an ambassador could pick it up and then decide to amplify that signal or do something, with that event signal. And then with regard to your first question on the OPF specifically, could you clarify what you mean by that?
The question, I mean, we have the next topic on the list is like the how to collaborate with OPF and whether we should postpone this or we should continue with that. Should we have it today? Is it all right for you?
Yeah, I'm all game to to listen, and the specific actions that can be done by ambassadors for the OPF's current initiatives. I might not be the best person to be able to shine color on that. That would be, someone from, maybe a Trent or, maybe someone like Trent could be able to, hey, the OPF is trying to do X initiative, and this is where we need help from the ambassadors. But I think all the activities that were getting funded in the chart to date, those could also be things that the OPF is interested in. So all these ambassador activities, more generally speaking, are activities that the OPF, are excited about because they're so needed.
We could have, sorry to jump in here, but we could have some kind of an idea capturing tool where basically everyone, either from the community or from the OPF, could write down ideas for ambassadors to take or help with. For example, when you look at NEAR, they have this open web sandbox, actually, that is fully sponsored by the NEAR Foundation. But the guys there have a budget for use for community members to pick tasks there and actually support various organizations like builders or the foundation itself. So anyways, I thought that their approach was quite interesting and something we could get inspiration from.
Yeah, I think that NEAR has a lot of excellent things happening in their community, and yeah, so we can continue.
Super. Yeah, these sorts of task boards that people can come and pick up tasks. Those things are starting to get proliferate across these ambassador communities and DAO communities. So absolutely a great idea.
Okay, yeah. So then we can follow up. We can have in our proposal, we can have this point that we will look into this into creating such an open web sandbox, and maybe then also include initial fund for that. Laurent, right? I mean, you need some funding for the task, so I mean, then we would reserve a general budget for this.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that's just an idea for now, right? I'm in kind of brainstorming mode because we kind of have to reinvent ourselves as always. So I just wanted to put this on the table because this is also where I think anyone can come and put a task, including perhaps bigger tasks like from Trent or Bruce or Alex or anyone from the DAO or from the OPF. So I think it's worth exploring, and maybe we can test this with a very small budget initially and see whether there is traction.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, like we were always looking on the look for successful concepts in other ambassador programs, in other communities, and this one seems like it's one of them. I would immediately put this into action. I mean, anything that we see that is successful somewhere else and which is easy to implement, why not? I don't mind that,
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, are there any other points regarding collaboration? So I mean, then we have this would basically open up the thing already. Like everybody can then collaborate. So that would be, I think, a big change to have this, and then we can see what comes out of it. We can include this in the next proposal. And then I would jump back, if there's nothing else about the collaboration, then I would jump back to the proposal itself and how we will do that.
Perhaps still on the collaboration itself. So we had different channels, right? So I believe Albert, Frederic were in touch with Alex Cos for the development of Pearl. Then we have been very much discussing marketing topics with Monica and Sarah. Obviously, we've all been in contact with Sheridan and the ecosystem group. So we've always had strong ties and ongoing discussions, information sharing and collaboration. And so my question is not necessarily on roles and responsibilities necessarily or tasks, but how do we keep this constant flow of communication? Should it rely just on our personal network and the fact we know each other and have a trust relationship, or should we also anticipate some processes that are really aimed at steering communication and enabling this kind of two-way flow between ambassadors and OPF and the various team members relevant to the specific ambassador teams or sub-teams, so to speak?
This is something that is happening slightly, for example, with Ocean Pearl. Right now we are in contact with, of course, OceanDAO, and at some point I will drop completely off and they will have a direct access with whoever is managing Ocean Pearl. And so there will be a direct connection between them and no need to actually add me. What I think might be helpful is to have something like an open communication, though this might lead to some overhead again if we just make it like, okay, we need to drop like a weekly message or so on what we're doing, because not everybody's interested in every aspect. So for me, for example, many outreach aspects are not relevant or so I'm not so sure how to actually create such constant communication flow between all parties.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is not an easy nut to crack, right? Because communication is overhead in itself. If you're able to do one thing just yourself, of course, that's fast. If you are two, it gets slower. If you are 20, it gets a pain. There is, of course, this is a time commitment, just like any other work. And we can try to streamline this as best as possible. My personal belief on this is that some communication or some channels or some common tools or whatever, maybe it's coordinate or maybe it's something different, where we can really all the time be in sync. I think this is this sync thing. I'm not trying to create more reporting or more meetings. Certainly not. I have more than enough of these. But really, and I don't pretend to have a solution either, by the way. But my concern is that as we move now as a kind of standalone project, which happens to be ambassadors, and our role is kind of tied to being very well and closely connected to Ocean core team. I think we should at least think about that. And I don't know, Alex, I see you nodding. But perhaps that's something we can follow up upon separately. But or you want to discuss this already? I'm not sure.
I mean, I recognize it's a point of emphasis, right? You know, this kind of bidirectional communication between OPF initiatives and where can human capital and resources be deployed, and then also the bandwidth of the ambassadors program, and you know, what are the current activities being done, what needs to be spotlighted or emphasized, or new activities in and of themselves. So yeah, just that communication bridge, you know, I recognize that's important, and that kind of goes along with the last topic as well, of that like task repo, so to speak. But yeah, again, I'm in your camp. Like, I don't have the exact solution, but the problem seems to be clear.
I mean, we could still invite, you know, like you guys to here into the meeting. I mean, it's a monthly meeting, so it's not too much overhead, but this would give some communication. But yeah, and I don't know. I mean, the invites into the other meeting, the tech ship meeting, and into the outreach ship meeting, I mean, they are always open. So there might be the communication still continuing there anyways. I mean, then there would be these links. So I think I mean, just because we get the funding from somewhere else, we don't have to, you know, cut the links in the individual meetings. But of course, Sheridan will not be here in our captain's lounge anymore. That's something I think is clear now.
Yeah, I actually think maybe the marketing team might be the best conduit here, because they're pretty up to speed with the initiatives of the specific initiatives from the OPF on a rolling basis, and have campaigns that they're focused on, you know, week to week. And so this could actually be the more the conduit that is more of a fit, so to speak. So maybe yeah, to answer like Laurent's specific question here, yeah, maybe it's just having a ambassador initiatives, you know, bridge with the marketing team.
Yeah. Although technically, it also makes sense that to have the technical ship very much in touch with the technical teams, right? So yeah, beyond just specific projects. So one is Pearl. Now Pearl is blooming on its own by DAO proposals on its own. So it's a different story here. It initiated here, but then it transitioned. But at the very least, ambassadors can help others on Discord, Telegram, wherever, people facing issues, trying to set up C2D, for example. I'm not technical, so I won't overexpand. But so that channel also makes sense in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. Then I would.
Yeah, maybe just one side note here. What I see from this discussion, also what you mentioned here, is first of all, staying in sync with what the overall teams are doing, especially, of course, the core team. But also what I would like to do right now is to further transition into binding the people to structures and, let's say, institutions, and not so much to individual persons, how it is sometimes right now. So in case, for example, Laurent, you and I drop off as captains, somebody else can take over without any delays and have the same access to all the channels that we have. So in the best case, there aren't too many private chats anywhere happening, but rather groups where we can add people, so that, yeah, we build up a structure that can, where we can be replaced. And this would be one focus that I would push forward as an ambassador.
100%, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we can try. We now moved over to Discord. So I mean, there's still sometimes communication on Telegram, but yeah, Discord is basically now the place to be. And there we could then basically maybe also form a group, like where then we invite a lot of people. But I think Bruce, Trent, Monica, Sarah, they are not on Discord at the moment, as far as I know. So that might be then yeah, a problem.
Let's let's discuss. I mean, that's a simple getting you know, a member from core on discourse is a pretty low hanging fruit.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we can then have a channel there for just a sync channel, that we call it sync channel, and then the captains and the people are in there, and then later if somebody like gets, maybe they go on vacation, they're not available for some time, or they drop off for a longer time, and then they can be replaced, and then just it can continue like normal, and there's no real big changes necessary. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, then I think we have two great ideas here that we can take away. The one is the sandbox, and the other one is to make a sync channel in Discord. And yeah, and then yeah, it's okay. Then I would like to come back to the proposal. So from my point of view, the easiest thing for this month's proposal would be to go with the spreadsheet idea. But Laurent, if you have other proposals, I mean, of course we could say we make a quarterly budget, but then I think we are ill prepared for in 1.5 weeks to do something where we plan ahead for 3 more months. That's my concern, but yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yes, this is so. If we do it this way, we have so it works with like just any other project. So we estimate a budget, and then we see whether it's enough or not, and then the transparency comes from the reporting back to the community, voting for the project. So yes, it would move that path. I think so. If some specific modifications to the DAO voting system with some dedicated allocation or earmarking for some specific programs, and if in there is something for ambassadors, then it makes sense to have the monthly kind of setup, and then every time just update this, have some kind of placeholder ROI and placeholder kind of content, and only modify the activities and explain just the new activities or things like that are different from let's say previous proposals, or main changes versus previous, rather than necessarily detail everything in every proposal. So really depends how it kind of depends on the whole strategy of OceanDAO in regards to the ambassador, because quite frankly, I have not so much interest in producing monthly proposals. Otherwise, I'd rather secure the budget. I mean, we all want the best for Ocean community anyways. I don't think we will run away with the tokens. So if we want to do this on a quarterly basis, at least that cuts a bit of overhead in preparing those proposals. So yeah.
the disadvantage about this is that the rules seem to be changing regularly from the OceanDAO side. So I mean, like, of course, if we would secure a budget, then we don't necessarily know how it looks like in 3 months. So, but we could then immediately also then go for another month if it's necessary. Like yeah.
But in this context, then you want to try to DAO 6 months, right? Because you know the situation today.
There's a cap. 18,000 tokens is the cap, and yeah, so
yeah.
I think if you're thinking for the, and actually I'm going to put just my Alex hat on and not my Ocean team member hat on. Yeah, just as hey, if you don't want to propose less, the amount, or rather, you don't want to submit a proposal every month, go for the cap, like go for as much as you can get this round, and maybe you'll have a treasury built up, so you don't need to, apply for the next round. And then, yeah, if you're thinking like come back every month, and maybe there's just, the core structure of the proposal stays the same, but then you just update the milestones each month and like what those activities are. So the most of the heavy lifting on drafting a proposal is already done, and you just kind of fill and kill. Like, there we go. But yeah, just kind of now with the Ocean hat on, like, we're trying to make it as streamlined and easy as possible as process. So I wouldn't be too concerned with more complex. I would hope it gets less like the complexities get ironed out more so. So as opposed to more red tape or DAO regulation, I would hope there would be less. So moving forward with regard to the round over round changes.
And I mean, like, okay, so yeah, so then from my point of view, okay, we can also do a bigger grant proposal, and then we would stay more vague. I mean, then we do the housekeeping for ourselves internally, like in the Captain's Lounge, and then in the next proposals we compile basically an update, like when we asking for the next funding period to get this funding again to refill the treasury. For me, this would also be fine. I mean, this reduces the amount of work. I'm always for that. So yeah, if I mean,
it buys us a bit of time as well, because at this very moment we also need to have our own vision. So we are thinking now about having our own branding derived from OPF or sub branding, if you will. And yeah, so I think a lot of thinking needs to go still into the ambassador program. So as we reflect on achievements, I think some things have worked really well, some things have not worked so well and could be improved. And I think that because there is this transition, I think that we can also suggest some further improvements to the program and think about new or different ideas. And in that context, maybe the 3 month budget would give us a bit of air in a way.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily we have to call it the 3 month budget. Who knows how long it will last? Maybe you could say, okay, we will now build up a treasury, so an initial treasury, and then we can basically reinvent us a little bit, because then, I mean, this is now a big step, right? So we can use this big step to make a little bit of a cut and say, okay, now this was the old OPF structure. We were like, it had to be like this because the funding was coming like this. We adopted the structure. And now we take this as a breaking point, and then we can reinvent ourselves. We can make a meeting especially for that, where we say, okay, now we have different budget. What do we want to change? What were the things that really like, it's kind of retrospective. I mean, in the agile world, you do a retrospective. You come together, you talk. Okay, everybody says, okay, what were the good things? What were the bad things? What do we want to keep? What do we want to cut out? So yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yes, I mean then. From my point of view, that sounds great, and we can probably get something together until first, if we know we will want to have the cap, and then we can also put this ideas into that. I mean, we can still report on what we did in the past, like as to give like indication who we are and where we come from. But then we can leave the future a little bit open and say, okay, now we are going to reinvent ourselves. We have lots lots of good ideas and for the future. But the one problem I have, or like maybe we should vote on this at the moment, like just say, okay, do we want to do it like this? Maybe because like yeah, we have four people, or like Alex, you can also vote if you want. So yeah, because then it's like it's a decision. If anybody still has more points to talk about this before we can do the vote, please do so. Otherwise, I think we should vote on that we go with this kind of proposal for this month or for next round. Anybody, any open points? No?
I think everything's set, yeah.
Okay, then yeah, we can all say aye or something, because I can't see some screens. So maybe all in favor say aye.
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 Yeah. Hi.
All right. Alex, you think the idea is also good?
I withhold my aye as a but yeah, I think the idea, yeah, it sounds like an approach for sure. So
okay, good. Yeah, then the last point that it causes a little bit of a hiccup for myself is that now in the process, it's not the wallet anymore that gets the tokens, but it's a person that has to register with an email, and that also has to register as a person. And I mean, like, this depends on your personal jurisdiction where you live. So this could also be treated as a taxable event. And then someone in the Ocean ambassador team would have to take this burden of basically taking this taxable event on them. I mean, like let's take the hypothetical example of Germany. If this is a taxable event, then your income tax will be applied. And if your income is high, then this can go up to like 45% of the basically of you having a tax debt that you have to pay for. And that's something that really causes some headaches with myself, especially for the ambassador program.
Yep, I think just on this call, we're not going to have an answer explicitly on this. So I duly, duly noted, and I'm going to message internally and try to get an answer back to you as soon as possible. So.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because in this case, maybe a wallet is. If we would have a DAO, maybe we should reinvent ourselves, make the ambassador DAO, and then the money goes into the DAO. You know, like this could also be one of the next steps or something like this. You know,
the DAO may not protect you legally. You know,
who's the owner of
in
the
your
DAO?
jurisdiction, it's different everywhere.
Mm.
So I think perhaps the structure should be also thought about. Light and non-profit kind of structure that could be a way forward if such a structure exists somewhere in a way that is compliant and works as intended. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this just like you know, otherwise I would just have put everything and then okay, there's the tokens, you just send it out. And then after some time, you realize, okay, what did I do? So yeah, I mean, that's like a major change. And yeah, one last thing I wanted to ask you, Alex, is like we now switch to funding in M-Ocean, not in Ocean anymore because of the gas fees. And is it also possible to request then in request basically for M-Ocean instead of Ocean?
That's another, yeah, let me do that as well on my to-do request. Via M-Ocean, and then clarity on a group getting funding on
with no commercial interest or something like that. Yeah. I mean, like any project that get funding have like basically an entity, like a company behind it. So then it's clear who takes the responsibility for the grant.
Okay. Perfect. I have those two action items to get back to you.
All right. Okay. Then, from my point of view, we have everything covered. I mean, we will have to have another meeting for the DAO proposal. Yeah, but that's then on us outside of this meeting. But from the governance meeting today, I think we covered everything. Or are there any other open points that we should discuss? No, Laurent. No. Albert, Frederic.
All set on my end, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, then I would say we conclude the meeting today, and I will upload recording to YouTube, and then we talk again soon. Bye bye, everyone. Take care.
Everyone.
Perfect.
Thank
Thanks,
you very much,
everyone.
everyone. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Great call. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.